Welcome everyone to part 3 of the chapter The First World War. The topics covered in this part are the war and women, peace treaties, the Treaty of Versailles, June 1919, the consequences of Versailles Treaty, establishing the League of Nations. Let's start with our first topic, the war and women. As we saw earlier, the situation of women changed rapidly during the course of World War. Since most male adults were conscripted in the war effort, the women had to venture out of their homes to work in the factories and farms to support their families. This was in addition to the daily household duties. The change in their routine and role left a lasting impression on them. They began to feel more independent as they became more aware of their social worth and rights. They developed a new understanding of their position and role in society. In many countries, it was the women who agitated to put an end to the war and restore peace because they were the ones most severely affected by its consequences. Their growing awareness led women's organization to demand the right to vote in parliamentary elections. In 1918, Britain became the first country to give all propertied women above 30 years the right to vote. As you can see in the picture 7.10, a woman being arrested by the police during a demonstration to demand the right to vote in London in 1914. And the second picture shows women working in a British ornaments factory. Next topic is peace treaties. In 1919 to 1920, the victorious Allied forces, predominantly Britain, France, America, and Italy, signed peace treaties with the defeated nations. These treaties included the Treaty of Versailles with Germany, Treaty of Saint Germain with Austria, Treaty of Trianon with Hungary, Treaty of Sevres with Turkey, and the Treaty of Neuilly Sersini with Bulgaria. The most important of these was the Treaty of Versailles with Germany. Seeing the popular wave in favor of universal peace, the American President Woodrow Wilson announced his 14 points in January 1918, outlining the principle for world peace in negotiating peace treaties to end the war. Wilson's 14 points stipulated that Germany should return all the territories it had annexed since 1870 and Poland would become a free nation. The new German government accepted Wilson's principles and signed the armistice. This region was rich in coal and iron ore. By getting back the territory, France sought to put a brake on Germany's industrialization. It wanted to damage the German economy to the extent that the country would never again think of attacking another country. Figure 7.12, Woodrow Wilson. Britain too wanted to weaken Germany for strategic reasons but not for economic reasons, since a strong German economy would benefit British trade. These policies conflicted with its interest. France, Britain, and Germany hoped that the Russian Revolution would fail because they feared that it would influence the poor workers and soldiers in their countries. That is why they were not keen to include Russia in the peace talks. Their hope was that all countries would support the forces in Russia and that were opposing the revolutionary government. Next topic, the Treaty of Versailles, June 1919. The most important peace treaty was the Treaty of Versailles. Britain, France, and America signed this peace agreement with Germany on June 28, 1919. It contained many terms that were unacceptable to Germany, but three countries threatened to mount a joint attack on Germany if it did not accept these conditions. A helpless Germany was thus forced to sign the treaty. Main terms of the treaty was first, the Germany and its allies had to accept the guilt for starting the war and the destruction it caused to another country. Second, Germany was to return all the territory it had annexed from other countries like Belgium and France. Third, Germany was to return the Alsace-Lorraine region it had annexed in 1871 to France. Fourth, a large portion in the eastern part of the German Empire was ceded to the newly constituted country of Poland. Map 7.2 shows the Europe after 1919. Fifth, in this way, around 65,000 square kilometer of land was ceded by Germany to various countries after the war. Sixth, Germany's colonies in Africa was mandated to the League of Nations, which handed over their custody to Britain, France, and Portugal. Seventh, several terms in the treaty effectively ensured the disarmament of Germany. The German army was limited to 1 lakh soldiers. Eighth, one term of the treaty specified that Germany and Australia could not merge without the permission of the League of Nations. Next topic is the consequences of the Versailles Treaty. This treaty has been the most discussed of all modern treaties. Diplomats and politicians criticized it vehemently. First of all, it was not based on the principles of democracy and justice. It was a demeaning treaty that was forced upon the defeated by the victors. The new elected government of Germany claimed their government was not responsible for the war, which was waged by the earlier emperor and his undemocratic government. So it was unjust to punish the new democratic government for their acts. Next topic, establishing the League of Nations. The idea of forming an international organization to resolve the problems between nations in an impartial and objective manner had been playing in the minds of many political leaders from the end of the 19th century. Wilson's 14 points once again brought this idea into the limelight. Wilson tried hard to realize his vision. Eventually, the League of Nations was established in Geneva, the capital of Switzerland, in 1920. One of the first tasks assigned to the League was implementing the International Peace Agreement signed after the First World War. For example, under the Versailles Treaty, it was given the administrative responsibility of the Saar region given to France for its use and Danzig corridor. Establishing the League of Nations was itself a process fraught with problems. To begin with, in those days, governments did not see their colonies as independent or autonomous countries. Russia too was not invited because of its agenda of encouraging socialist revolution across the globe. Also, in spite of Wilson's sterling efforts to set up the organization, America did not become a member. The League of Nations nevertheless continued to work with these handicaps and by 1930 appeared to be delivering its promise of peace and prosperity for the world. Thank you for watching.